Welcome back to our channel, developers. Today we have an exciting topic to discuss, calling APIs with DIO and creating models. And we will also see how to handle HTTP exceptions. In this video we will learn how to make HTTP request using DIO, a powerful HTTP client for that, and handle exception effectively. So let's dive right in. To get started, we need to set up our Firebase project that I have already did and it's running. Make sure you have a Flutter installed and create a new project. Open the project in your preferred code editor, whatever you want, like VS Code or Android Studio. It doesn't depends. Now let's add some necessary dependency. So inside your pubspec.yaml, add this DIO dependency. I will provide the link to this dependency in description. You can also copy from here and paste it there. Okay. So after adding the dependency in your pubspec.yaml file, save the file and run flutter pub-get to fetch the dependency, or you can click here if you want, or directly you can control save, you can control s, you can do. It will automatically do pub-get for you like this. Now let's create a Dart file called API service.dart for calling or handling the APIs. So I will go here and create a folder called API, and inside this I will create a API service file, API service.dart file. Inside this I will create a class called API service, and to call the HTTP methods or HTTP API, first we need to create the instance of our DIO. So I will create an instance of our DIO as well. So this can be a local. So I will create a final DIO instance. And now it's showing error. So we need to import DIO. And after this, we will create a constructor for calling the DIO or functions inside this. So I will create a named constructor, and inside this I will create an instance of this class, instance equal to API service.init. Okay. So now we will create a function called fetch data to fetch the data. And one thing I forgot to tell you that we will use RES API, this API for our example purpose. I will provide the link of this API also. So this is a get method. If you come here, like currently it's calling the API, so we will remove this and directly go to the website. So this we will use for example, and we will use this endpoint, that is API/user, and this is a get method. Okay, we will also see how to create a post method, how to call the post method also. So now let's deep dive. And now what I will do, I have created if you see, I have created the instance. So I will use this instance, and that API is get method. So what I will do, I will copy this, click here and copy the endpoints and paste it inside the path section. And now you can see that some question mark and page number is given. This is called query parameters for get method. So for this we need to pass, and this can be passed inside a field called query parameters, and inside this we need to pass the map, and our key should be page, because this API required a key called page and its value. So this we can pass using query parameters if that is a get, and if that is a post, we need to pass this thing in our data. Okay, like this. So currently we are using get, so we will pass inside the query parameters. It will automatically encode in this form. So now the page value should be 1, As you can see here, it is using 2 because this is a paginating API. So in later videos I will create how to do pagination with the APIs also. So please subscribe to our channel. Now what I will do, I will await for the calling, like I will wait until it calls successfully, and I think okay. So now after waiting, it will give us a response that I will hold inside a response variable. So now our API is called, and whatever coming from the API, it will come inside this response variable. So we will use this response variable to convert the data, API data, in a form of model later in this video. Currently we will see whether the API is called or not. Okay, so let's check whether it called or it's not calling. So we will print this like this. So this is error because I need to update the material.dart class, and now inside the main.dart I'll call this API that is inside the API service. So API service dot instance data we have created, and then the face data. So let's check whether our API is calling or not. See, this API called successfully. You can see here the result is coming. So now our API is called successfully. So in this way you can call the API inside of Flutter. It doesn't matter that whether it is get or post, just use the method whatever given to you. Like if the API uses post method, use post. If API uses get, or put, delete. It totally depends upon the method that the API uses. Just use that function and that's it. Okay. And something you need to remember, that if you are using post, then you need to use data instead of query parameters, and if you are using get, then you need to use query parameters. Okay, so now this is the thing that this is the whole procedure to call an API. Okay, so in the above code we have created API service class. So let's elaborate again. So in the above code, in this code we have created API service class with a method called fetch data. Okay, and inside this method we used dio to make a get request that we have created here. And if the response, that is, we can also check the response. One thing I forgot to say, but I will say right now, we can also check the status code here. Like if the status code whenever you call the API, it returns some status code like 200, 204, 201, 40, 400, 404. These type of status code it sends you. Okay, so this status code tells about the API call, whether it's successful or it got an error. So I will put the link of the some status code. Like if you go to the Google and search HTTP status codes, then you can get here first one website that is created in Mozilla only. So these are some response code that can be returned by the server. So what we need to check, we need to check for only one response code, that is 200. If the response code is 200, that our API call is successful and we have successfully called the API and data is coming from the API. Okay, we can also check the status code, but in the later video I will tell you, you don't need to check this. You can directly check whether the issues happened, or you can handle the exception easily. Okay, so I will not going to check this, or I will remove this. And now let's move on creating the model and converting the data that is coming from this API in a model class. Okay, in a form of model. So what I will do, I will create a folder inside src and I will create a model called user model dot. Okay, so now if you want to create a model, you can do by using 3 different methods. There are the 3 different methods you can use to create a model. First one is to do it manually, second is automatic, and third is also automatic. So if we move to the first one, then it will take time, but still I will show you. Suppose I need to create a model class, then first I need to understand the structure of this API. like it contains a page that is form of integer, per page form of integer, total integer, total page integer, and then it contains the list of data. So if I do it manually, then first I need to create a final integer, whatever, see, model means whatever that is written here you need to do in the form of variables in there in the file. Okay, so suppose I need to create the model of this file, then I need to create a integer page final int per page, total page, and total page. Okay, per page final int total page and total, correct. And last we have a list of data. That data is another form, like it contains id, email, first name, last name, and avatar. So I will create one more class called user data, and then I will create same integer id final email, final string, all are string, email, first name, last name, avatar, and last one is our avatar, final string avatar. Control Shift P. Now what you have to do, you need to install these extension in your VS Code. Second, this extension that you can put here, this dart data class generator. If there is a share button, I will share this extension, but I don't think you can share. So just search here dart data class generator and install this, that have more than 1 lakh installation. And then what you need to do, just do Control Shift P and search for this property data class generator. If that is not coming on the top, don't worry, just type dart data class generator and select second one. Okay, now it will tell you which class you want to generate, for which class you want to generate the model. First I need to generate this user data. Okay, so I will click here and okay Moja. So now he created the model of this class. Now what is pending in this one, that the list of data, and the list of data is user data, correct. So what we will do, we will create that list of user data and data, and now we will create the instance of this API, same, and now we need to create the model for this user model. So now done. One thing you need to remember, that whatever the variable name is given here, it should match here also. If you don't provide this, then you have to edit inside from JSON, from map or from JSON you need to update, from map you need to update. Okay, got it. So these two need to be matched, variable name and map. If you are not matching, it's not a big deal, you cannot match also, but the map that you are providing here, it should match with the API data, correct. Inside the map, whatever the key that is given in the API, it should match, that's the thing. Okay, so this is the first method to create the API. Same thing we will create in a second. Okay, so I will remove this, and what I do, I will copy this whole JSON and paste it here. Sorry, I think I haven't copied. Okay, wait 1 second, and then I will copy this, copy this, and I will paste it here. Okay, now what I will do, I will do the same Control Shift P, but now I will select generate from JSON. Got it? Previously we selected generate from class properties. Now we will select generate from JSON, and we will type the class name what we want. I want user model. Now it's telling me that you want multiple files. So why it's telling this? Suppose, see what is happening, that one branch is created after the data, that is the list of map, correct. And here you can see one support is created a branch, that is a list, that is only a map. So whenever a new branch created inside the JSON, it will convert that branch in a new file. So it's telling me whether you want to create a new file or you want to write all things in a one file. Got it? So what I will do, if I do this, then it will create a model, 3 model inside this model class, model folder, sorry, Control Shift P. So let's check. First, what I will do, I will save it, and then I will do Control Shift P, and from JSON, and I will put the name user model. And now I want multiple files. You can do no also. It will create all classes in same file. Okay. So I will do yes. Now you can see 2 classes are generated, 2 Dart files, separate Dart files are created. And this is the thing. If you select yes, then it will create 2 different separate files. If you click no, in the same file, it will create a multiple classes. So now check this. Same thing is there. Same thing that we have did manually is there. Correct? Another method to create a model is by visiting a website called json2dart. This is the website. I will provide the link of this website in the description. What you can do, you need to copy the same thing and then you need to paste it there. Sorry, copy and then I think paste it there. Okay, correct. So now you need to provide the name of this class. It should be user model and then generate. So now you can see that we have our data model ready. So one thing you can see that in our data model that we have created using the JSON contains final, but and there is no null check also. There is no null values also that it contains the null or not. It's not showing. But here you can see there is no final and question mark is also not there. That is null operator is also not there. So what is difference between these 2 models? These 2 models comes in a play when you have a dynamic UI. If you are creating a final variable, you cannot change it. At that, you cannot change it when it loaded. Correct? You need to reload again to change the value, whatever it is. You cannot change it in the runtime. You need to rerun, or you need to go back and come again, then you can do. Okay. But here we can update values whenever we want. Like suppose I want to update this page, so I can do with the Dart code. But this values, but here we cannot do with the Dart code because this is final and final cannot change. And if I want to update this, then first you need to update inside the backend, then it will come here. Okay. And you need to refresh also. This is the thing. So this is the main difference. And second difference is that it can accept null values also. Suppose sometimes what happens that DB returns a null value that the value doesn't exist and it returns the null value for a specific field. So it will support null also. You can pass null also and your app will run smoother. But here what will happen whenever you tries to give the null value, your app will crash. So these are the main difference that you should remember before moving with the which method you want to use. So I have shown you all 3 methods. This is a perfect, I think, because you can update also and you can also use null values. Correct? But I don't want to use it right now. I will use this one only because I have already created this and I have spent a lot of time. I think around 5 to 6 minutes. So I will not delete this. Okay. So what you need to do, copy this and paste it there. If you want to use this, you can copy this and paste it here. Same thing. Doesn't matter. But the key difference is that it can accept null values and you can change the value wherever you want. Okay. So now we have created our user model class, user model data modeling we have done. So now what we will do, that now that we have our API service and model class ready, so let's put them into action in our Flutter app. Correct? So what we will do, we will convert this data that is coming from this API in the form of models, in the form of variables. So how we will do, like we will create a user model class first, and then what we will do, we will use a property factory constructor is there called from JSON, and inside this, or we can use from map, and inside this what we will do, we will use response dot data. This data contains the data that is coming from the API. So now it's converted in a form of variables or the user model. Now our modeling is also done, our API calling is also done. So let's integrate this and show it inside our front end. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go inside this main dot and then I will create a body here. This should be a future builder because our function is a future. So to call the future, better use future builder. And our function should have a type, because function is returning something, we will return it. So this function will return a user model. Okay, future user model. Okay, so we will simply return future dot value user. Okay, so now this thing is done till here. So we will go inside this main dot and we have converted this future builder in a form of user model. And inside this builder, first it takes context and then snapshot of the data. So now what I'll do, first I will show the progress bar that it is loading. Circular progress indicator. Got it? So now you will see here some circular progress is shown, correct? So now I'll check, see, suppose currently it's showing circular progress indicator, that shows that our API is loading. Wait here. Okay, so now if the API is loaded, what we will do, we will use snapshot.hasData property that will tell whether the API has loaded or we got the data that is coming from the API, and that is, this function run is successful and it returned the value, correct? If it return the value, it will fall inside this. Okay, so now we will return list view, because we have to build or show this list, that data list in our front end, correct? So we will build a list view dot builder, and inside this builder, first it will take context and index, and then we will return list tile. Got it? And this should take item count, and the item count is the data. This is snapshot dot data is the this data will return this user model. Now we got the user model that is coming from here. This user model we have got using this snapshot.data. Got it? So now if you remember, if I have already shown you this data we need to build. So we need to build this list of data. So we need to find the length of this data, correct? So now if you remember, I have told you right now, this snapshot.data is a user model, correct? And inside this user model, one property is called data. So if you remember, in the model class, we have a data property, this one. Got it? This user model dot data has a list of user data that I will use the length property to find the length. Now we got the length of the data available inside the user model or inside the API. So now first I will show a circle avatar. Inside this I will render the user profile picture, and then I will use title to build first name and last name, and subtitle for email. Got it? So what I'll do, I will go inside this and I will use leading property and circle avatar. Then I will use background image. This should be a network image because we are loading from network. Now inside this we need to provide the URL. So how we will get the URL? So what I will do, what we need to think that first we need to go inside the user model. Okay, then we need to access the data, and then we need to go to every index and when we go to the every index, we need to access every avatar, correct? So this is the step. First we need to go inside the user model, then in the data, and inside the data section, first we need to access every instance or every map, and then inside every map we need to access avatar. Got it? So let's move with the steps that we have talked. So for accessing the avatar, first we need to go inside the user model, that is our snapshot.data, correct? Now we are inside the user model. Now we need to go inside the data section of this user model, that is the list of data, correct? Now we have to access the every element, that using the index property we can access every element. So we have accessed individual element in a list. Now every individual element has a avatar, so we will access this avatar. That's it. Got it? This is the thing, that every element has a avatar property. And if we look into our app, that is still loading because we didn't provide any future right until now. So we will provide the future also because we want to see the changes. So this is the fetch data method. Our fetch data method is inside this API service, and we have created the instance, if you remember, and we using that instance we have called the API. Got it? So now let's refresh and check any issues are there or not. Let's check also. See, this is the one exception occurred in our list, model class, that we need to handle also. Okay, so now we are done with our part. Let's move into the user model and do some changes there. Okay, so we will come here and go there and see whether which has the issue. Okay, okay, see this data is not is mismatching with the data coming from the API. Got it? So we need to handle that exception also. Currently it's showing circular progress, so the user will know that, or user will think that the API is still loading, we need to wait, but exception occurred, correct? So we need to handle or show this inside this front end also, correct? So what we will do, we will go inside this API service and we will use try catch. First we will paste this, and on exception we will catch the whatever the error is, and then we will return the error with the future.error. So now what we will do, go inside this main.dart, and then this future builder has one property called snapshot.hasError. So we will check if any error happened or not with the snapshot.hasError boolean. And now if any error happens, we will return a center. Okay, so if you remember, we have provided one string while sending the error, this one. So we will use this here by using a property called snapshot.error. Got it? So this will return us a variable. So now you can see type list dynamic is not a type of list. I will make it 20 and then title small to look better, and also I will provide the padding, and this text align should be center, that it looks good. It will look good now. So now type list dynamic is not a type of. So in this way you can handle internal errors or any model or mismatching errors happened while fetching the data. Okay, so this is not a HTTP exception. One thing you need to remember, this is the internal error, that is a model class error, that you can handle or show whatever that exception occurred while parsing the values to different values, while parsing API data to the model values. Got it? Next is that we need to solve this issue. So we will go inside this model dot and it's telling that type dynamic is not a type of list, so I will make it as a dynamic only. And now I'll save it, and if I refresh, you can see our data is loaded. Got it? So in this way you can handle the internal issues. Got it? So let's go further and create a title and email. Then after we will see how to handle HTTP exceptions. Yeah. Okay. So now we will come here, and then inside the title, if you remember, I have told you that we will show first name and last name. Now you have to tell me in comment that how we will show the title and first name and last name here. Okay, I think you have written, so match it. Pause this video if you haven't done right now, and then you match it here. Okay, so this will help you to know that how we can use the data. Okay, so now what we need to do, if we go inside this model, first we need to access the user model, then the data, and we need to access each element, and inside this we need to access first name and last name, same thing. So what I'll do, I'll create a thing, snapshot.data gives us user model, then inside this data, and then every element will be accessed by element.index, and then we need first name. Also this one. Okay, see, George is coming. So if I want to show the last name also, we can show. Okay, so for showing the last name, if you haven't typed, retype it. Okay, we need to wrap all this inside a string, and then again we need to paste it here. And now instead of this, wait, okay, okay, now instead of first name we will use last name. Okay, last name. Got it? So George put and Janet Weaver. So now you just tell me how we can show the email. Put it in a description or comment section. Sorry, put it in a comment section, not in description. So in this way we can call the API, convert the API data in form of model, and then we can show inside the front end. So now let's move on to the HTTP exceptions. Okay, suppose this URL doesn't exist or any other exception occurred like this. If we do this, see, okay, this is showing error, but this is not a correct error. What I'll do, see, this is showing error, DIO exception, bad request, the request returned an invalid status code of 404. You can also handle this using this exception only, but I will go further with this. And what I'll do, I'll create one more exception block called on DIO exception, catch e. So this DIO exception will give the HTTP exception while calling the APIs. Why you should use this, but it can also done by this one. So this will give you extra privileges, like this E cannot be converted, or this E, and E has a different value. This E is a DIO exception value, but this is a common exception value, and this exception value doesn't contain some of the variable that is given inside this DIO exception. That will help you to give the user a better idea what has happened. So that's why I have provided this. Like I will show you right now. Return future dot error e dot message property is given. You can also put suppose you need to print the stack traces, so you can put the stack traces also, e dot stack traces. Debug print stack traces should keep stack traces, so I will provide stack traces e dot stack traces. Got it? So now if I come here, you can see the stack traces also that is coming here. And if you remember in the previous, you can only see this message. Now you can see the stack traces, like what happened, why it's happened, when it happened, and what you need to do. Like this one, it's telling that whenever you are trying to call this, it's giving 404. Got it? So in this way you can handle exception or HTTP exception in Flutter application and show the data and convert the API data in form of models and show it inside a front end. And that's it, by using diode to call API and creating models with exception handlings. We have handled various scenarios while fetching and parsing the data from remote server. This ensures a smoother and more robust user experience. Feel free to experiment with different APIs and customize the code according to your need. Whatever you want, you can do. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos like this, or this tutorial. If you like it more insightful, then you can share to your friends if you want. Thanks for watching and happy coding. And one more thing I will tell you, what next video you want, you can tell me. I'll create that. So thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.